what is so important within my particular process is how it allows me to reflect on the world around me, kind of process my days, and it helps me really, it's very therapeutic, and it's comparable to like quilt making and how people are quilting stories within their pieces. And so this idea of quilting stories when they're finished with their quilt is the quilt contains the experiences and the daily life things that were happening with these people as they were creating them. And so I feel like that is very comparable to my work and how they're kind of diary entries for a set amount of times and different pieces depending on the scale. It may take me a month to create something, it might take 3 months. And whenever I look back on those pieces, those ideas are wrapped up in the piece. And so I think it wasn't necessarily something I was thinking about as I was physically making it, but then once the piece was completed and I was able to reflect on it, I realized how much tedium is involved in this piece and sanding each and every individual tile and placing it very precisely. It's very comparable to woodworking and the level of precision that's required within that. This piece has a lot of layers, which I feel like is kind of how my work is experienced. So initially when you see it, you're like, oh, that's pretty straightforward, some triangles. And then the longer you sit with it, the more layers and depth is revealed within the piece. So the triangles within the piece are really connected to the original square grid that was created in 1821 for the city of Indianapolis. I've used that in a few of my pieces around Indianapolis. I obviously really love patterning in grids, and so I think it's really interesting to be able to connect those into more voluminous, three-dimensional forms. As well, my parents are both accountants, and I'm obviously an artist, which is kind of interesting, like how do those two people make an artist? But a lot of my work is really focused in math and planning and geometry, and so I think that connects back to my parents as well. Another thing I think just with these ideas of generations, like thinking about what were my grandparents, I found out recently my grandfather was a carpenter. He passed away when I was really young, so I didn't know that. And so these ideas of craft and how they've been involved in my family lineage. My dad's a woodworker. For me, it's so meditative, and the pieces that I'm creating are repetitive, small, modular components, and so it really creates this meditative experience for the viewer. The depths and the layer in the work that are revealed the longer you sit with the work is kind of my experience of making the work. And so it is really interesting that like I'm doing this very physical task, but within the final result, people who are viewing it are also able to hopefully have an experience of respite, ease, comfortability within, the crazy chaos of our lives of being a human.